Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Decan walk videos. This is Libra One, and we have a lot of cards changing and a lot of different stuff happening and coming through. So, as usual, I'll talk about how I felt this came in with this deck and finishing. And then we'll look at the new cards that are coming forward and get into Susan Chang's book and read about all of the stuff to expect. I kind of had a hard time figuring out how the Ten of Pentacles came into play during this decan for me. I'm not really coming up with a whole lot. It was a very quiet decan. I was trying to spend a lot of time when I didn't have customers and clients coming in. I was spending a lot of time just by myself, relaxing. My husband was kind of spending time by himself outside or in the garden or doing whatever. And not for any reason other than I think we were both craving a little bit of alone time and just some solitude. And I feel like that, like the Hermit card came in pretty strong this decan for me. As far as the Ten of Pentacles, though, I guess business was flowing. Was good. There was a lot of appointments and a lot of Reiki classes and stuff like that. So maybe that's kind of where that came into play. And it was just like my Reiki mentorship classes and courses and stuff like that are very well developed. They're very mature. They have been like I've been teaching for just over 5 years now. So they're very, very developed. And it was kind of like I could sit back and just watch my students kind of enjoy themselves and start to understand Reiki and the energies and the different things going on, and just like kind of like these people on the card here. And I just kind of sat back and watched them enjoy themselves and discover new things and abilities and a new path in life, right? So maybe that's kind of where it was at. I found it to be a very peaceful, a very quiet, a very comfortable decan for the most part. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's how it came through. That's about the only answer I have for it because I don't really have much otherwise. But now let's get in and let's change all these cards because we've got so much. These ones I've already changed to kind of get ahead of the game. And then we've got a lot happening. Pretty much everything is changing other than just the Queen of Swords. So let's get in here. We're going to remove this last decan's cards. And we are looking at the Two of Swords with the High Priestess and Justice. That is what this decan is bringing in. Kind of unsure about this a little. Not 100% sure I like this energy. Feel like it's kind of a little suspicious. And then we'll change these ones after. I'll leave these here for right now, but we've got a whole bunch going on over here, so I'll leave those right now. All right, and then let's flip all these. So we are in Libra One. It is a cardinal sign, and Libra is an air element. So those are our cards. And then our planetary influence is the moon. Okay. My husband's a Libra. His birthday is actually this weekend. So I'm very, very used to the Libra energy. My father's a Libra. My nephew, my only nephew, oh no, sorry, I have another nephew. My oldest nephew is a Libra. My husband's a Libra. I don't know. My aunt, I have one aunt that's a Libra. So we actually have quite a few Libras in my family. And obviously that's looking at like the sun sign, that's not looking at everybody's moon, right? But so there's a lot of Libra energy in my family. My one cat is a Libra. His birthday is a day or two after my husband's. So I've got a lot of Libra energy around me. Um, and I'll leave that there. I'm not going to say too much about the Libra influence in my life, but I feel like I don't know how to take all of this. I don't really know what to expect. And I kind of feel like it's like a secret. Like, I mean, if we're going to tap into that high priestess energy, I feel like this is going to kind of stay a secret until it is not a secret, right? And then it's just going to come forward and probably unexpected. I usually have something happen right at the beginning of the Decan, like either the night before or the morning of, that kind of gives me an indicator on which way this is going to go. But the last couple Decans, it kind of hasn't happened that way. So I don't really have any answers for this one right now, but it is what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to get in here, we're going to change, or sorry, we already changed. It's early in the morning. I'm still like half asleep, guys. So my apologies if I mess something up or I say something wrong. I am still kind of like half asleep. Like I feel like I could just go back to bed, to tell you the truth. It's been, I don't know, I've been really tired. The eclipse, we just had that partial lunar eclipse and it wiped me out physically. Like physically made me feel ill, physically just made me sick and not feeling well, like really under the weather, really really tired. I gave myself permission to stay in bed pretty long one day and just to kind of recoup. Yeah, like I don't this that eclipse kind of was a difficult one for me. And I feel like it kind of was for a bunch of people, right? I mean, obviously it depends on like where the planets are placed in your chart and whatnot, but I don't know. I found it very physically draining. But anyways, yeah, so let's get in here. Let's read about what's going on here briefly. And then we will switch these cards out and we'll kind of look at the whole picture. All right, so we are dealing with air. Let's start with the air element. All right, so our air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Air symbolizes the intellect. It is the realm of ideas and communication. It seeks to learn and share information. Intelligence, articulation, and curiosities are the qualities of air. It is mentally active and energetic. So there is a lot of air. Like when I look at this, I see like air. We've got swords. We got Justice is holding a sword. We got the Queen of Swords energies in place. But then when we switch things around, there's a lot of cup energy too over on this side, right? When we switch these cards out, you'll see there's a bunch of cups happening. So we've got like that mental, emotional energy happening in this Decan, which is the very first thing I noticed. I was like, okay, we've got a lot of mental energy. We've got a lot of emotional energy coming through. And plus we know with the moon is super emotional, right? I mean, the moon, whether it's a new moon or a full moon, really really influences our emotions and all that stuff, right? So I feel like we've got some emotional mental stuff happening this Decan, which could be either good or really bad. I don't know. We'll have to see how this happens. All right, Libra. Element is air, modality is cardinal. We'll just go down through all of this here. So Libra is a balanced and harmonious diplomat. Beauty and the arts are important to this charming lover. Fair and cooperative, this sign keeps the peace and seeks equality in partnership. Relationships of all kind benefit from this even-handed companion. So that obviously goes really well with justice, right? So that makes sense. And then once again, we'll just touch on cardinal. So we all remember what cardinal means, right? So it's the beginning of a season. So our cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. So cardinal signs initiate each season. The first day of Aries is spring, Cancer is summer, Libra is fall, and Capricorn is winter. Happy fall equinox, everybody, or Mabon, whatever you celebrate, if you celebrate anything at all. Happy birthday to my Libras. This gives these signs leadership qualities, right? So it's the beginning of the season, so they are more of that leadership quality that comes through. And then let's read about our planetary influence, the moon. All right, we've got the moon is intuitive, reflective, soulful, and introspective. It connects to the subconscious and the unconscious psyche. Emotional security is its driving force. It is both nurturer and child. Very interesting. All right, so that is all of our astrological components, right? So now I'm going to switch these out because I feel we need to have that energy, all this energy corrected here. So we have got the Ace of Cups is coming in with the Page of Cups and the Queen of Swords. So those are those little extra energies that are coming in right now, right? Remember, these are extra little energies to tap into, but the effects, the underlying energies of these decans is what can help us to understand the qualities of these court cards a little bit better, right? That's what the whole point of these are, is to kind of just understand a little bit better. Here's the Hermetic Tarot's Ace of Cups, and the Hermetic Tarot has a Princess of Cups instead of the Page. So we've got Princess of the Palace of the Floods, and we've got Lord of the Root of Powers of Water. So those are our two Hermetic Tarot, with obviously the Queen of Swords, which is Queen of the Thrones of Air. So we've got, like I said, a lot of that mental, emotional energy, right? Which is happening right now. So very, very interesting. Okay, I don't have very much room on my table today, and I don't even understand how that is because I'm doing stuff the exact same way. I feel very out of it today. The eclipse is still kind of screwing with me, to tell you the truth. So, all right, here is what everything is now. This is everything completely changed. We've got our court cards and our aces, extra energies over here, to help us understand these energies a little bit better because they are the underlying currents of these decans. We've got our planetary stuff, and we've got our new cards. All right, now, before we get into the Hermetic Tarot, I'm going to read from Susan's book briefly, and I'm just going to touch on some of the key components in her book about this decan, right? But I like to leave this for you guys to discover and to read yourselves. Once again, if you do not have this book, if you are able to do so, grab it for yourself. It is not money wasted. This is a fantastic book. Honestly, this is one of the best book purchases I have made in a really long time. So, I don't know. I like it. Okay, so few minors show as clear a blend of their corresponding majors as the Two of Swords does. In Pamela Coleman Smith's image, we see the moon and the waters of the High Priestess. So we've got the moon and the waters of the High Priestess card, right? She's got that water behind her. She's got the crescent moon under her foot. Meanwhile, Justice swords and scales have been transformed into two balanced swords. So sword scales, we've got the two swords, right? And it's very balanced like the scales, and I can totally see that now. I've never even really noticed that before. The traditional blindfold of justice, not pictured in Smith's card, Justice bench also appears in the Two of Swords. So we've got her sitting on the bench, we've got her sitting on the bench, and it's like the exact same bench. And traditionally, Justice usually does wear a blindfold, right? And she's wearing a blindfold in this. Really cool. Never noticed that before either. See, and this is why we're doing this, because there's so many elements that come forward that I've never tapped into. So I've never noticed the bench that she's sitting on is exactly like Justice's bench. That's crazy. The High Priestess looks more kind of like a solid block, whereas this one you can see obviously has a top and two legs, same as this one, top and two legs. Very cool. I sometimes call the Two of Swords the Little Priestess. Why? Partially because it has to do with the strong visual echoes between it and the High Priestess. It's not just the composure of the seated figure, it's also the waters, which seem to extend seamlessly from the shore front behind the priestess veil into the background of the Two of Swords, right? It's that same kind of energy, right? Sometimes I think of these waters as the unconscious, since the priestess helps us find our way to those realms beyond words. The Two of Swords, too, can be a meditative state that helps us find peaceful refuge from the mental chatter of our conscious minds. Sometimes I think of those waters as other realms, realms of the spirit or perhaps the underworld. The blindfold on the Two of Swords and the veils behind the priestess and justice always make me think of a secret meaning. Although it may be invincible on the surface, its truth is deeply felt, right? And I've never noticed that either. We've got the two pillars. We've got the veil behind the priestess. We've got the veil behind justice. Never even noticed that. And it's like those elements are obviously missing from that card. So, like, that secret or that unknown thing is now been revealed in the Two of Swords, right? Really cool. So another thing she mentions is the Two of Swords coincides with the equinox, the fall equinox in the northern hemisphere and the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere. At this moment, day and night are equally balanced in the scales of Libra. In fact, all twos correlate to solstices and equinox. The Two of Pentacles represents the longest night, the Two of Cups, the longest day. The Two of Wands mark the beginning of the daylight where it increases. And falling into the sign of Aries, it is ruled by Mars. The Two of Swords marks the beginning of the night's increase, falling into the sign of Libra, and it is ruled by Venus. That is really neat too, and I never noticed that as well either. And then she goes on to talk about the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah stuff, all of that. I leave that for you guys to discover on your own. And then she talks about how one way she could see the Two of Swords as a picture of meditation, sitting still, looking for balance with that inner eye rather than the outer one. But then she also says the Two of Swords can be seen as a symbol of initiation. The blindfold is the hoodwink of secret societies. It signifies the suspension of the ego and setting aside of the individual identity as one joins a group or apprentices to a master. And then she talks about how many esoteric traditions consider the moon as a symbol of the mind. So another way to look at this is to recognize that the mind is changeable. It waxes and wanes. Like the high priestess, it is fluid and secret, but we can close our eyes and ride its changeful waters to peace. So in Susan's book, she goes on to say, I tend to draw the Two of Swords the same way I draw the Justice cards on days when I'm doing sound editing. But I also get it for text editing, like swords are words. I think it's also because editing is a task that requires you to be, at least pretend to be, the other person who is receiving the message. Only then you can see if the message of self makes sense. I've gotten it when doing final slip stitching, so tiny little needle and thread work that she does before her cases go to their forever homes. So finishing up the details of her little projects. It is the last stage before the customer sees it, and I look at the product through their eyes. I've also gotten it helping with my son with his college application, When you draw the Two of Swords, ask yourself, what can I do to create peace in my mind? Take a step back from whatever single-minded agenda you have been pursuing. If you are in an argument, give your opponent's points of view full and equal airing. If you are a student of any kind, set aside your preconceived notions about the subject so that you can learn something new. Turn to whatever meditative practices allow you to clear your mind and listen for silence. Swords correspond to air, so Two of Swords can simply be a way of saying two breaths, the inhale and the exhale. Peace may be as simple as witnessing both in your mind until there is nothing else to see. All right, so a lot of different stuff, kind of a different approach to what I was feeling. I kind of like the meditative qualities to it. I really like how like these two are so tied in, and like even the way they're sitting, like everything, really neat. I've never looked at it that way before, so very cool. All right, let's get in here. Let's read about the Hermetic Tarot, because we've got a lot to cover in the Hermetic Tarot book. There's a lot of stuff to look at here. So we've got the High Priestess. I'm just going to start from this side and go this way. So we've got the High Priestess. So the Priestess of the Silver Star. The moon appears above the seated priestly figure of Isis, the Eternal Virgin. She is adorned in the purest feminine light of the moon, the same light that serves as a veil to hide the moon, the same light that serves as a veil to hide the internal spirit. The high priestess holds upon her knee a book partially concealed by her mantle, which holds the truth behind the veil of the feminine light. At her breast she holds a lyre, the law of Artemis, for she is also huntress, and like Diana, she hunts by enchantment. This card rules the path of the camel, which is one of the paths on the tree of life. This same path runs between the two gigantic pillars beside the throne upon which the high priestess is majestically seated. The high priestess controls the energy of life between the two pillars that are topped by spiraling pinnacles. At the bottom of the card are large spheres of her throne. Some researchers view the seated figure in the card as the illustrious and controversial Pope Joan, who allegedly reigned during the middle of the 9th century. Okay, so we're going to get in here. We're going to look at this card. There she is in all her glory. Very cool. All right, and then let's go to the Two of Swords. Okay, Two of Swords, Lord of Peace Restored. Ooh, I like that. Two crossed swords are each held by the hand issuing from the lower clouds. At the point where the two upright swords cross is a rose of 5 petals emitting 10-pointed rays and the multitude of smaller rays. The symbol for the moon appears in the horizontal position at the top and bottom of the cards adjacent to the symbol for Libra. 2 daggers also appear at both top and bottom ends of the card. The points of the small daggers are touching the points and handles of the large crossed swords. This card represents the first decan of Libra. All right, interesting. Okay, so let's get in here. My camera to focus, and there you go. So we've got these 2 swords coming up, 2 daggers up here. All their tips are touching. We've got that crescent moon in here once again. We've got that rose in the middle. We've got a crescent moon down below. And we have our sign of Libra, huge right there. It's a really cool card. And it says Lord of Peace Restored. And I feel like when I look at that card, I feel that energy. Okay, Justice, daughter of the Lord of Truth. The sign of Libra at the top of the card is ruled by Venus, whose symbol is shown on the left side of the scales. Saturn is exaltated in Libra and balances the scales on the right. The figure of justice triumphantly holds them aloft, and a large sword resting at her feet further symbolizes her importance. The lower portion of the card depicts the dual symbols of yin and yang, or black and white. The spheres at each corner of the card also represents equilibrium. They are half dark and half light, suggesting the balance of negative and positive, or night and day, all that stuff, right? So anything that's like imbalance. So there she is. Very cool card too. I think this is the first card where we've actually seen a signature. Not that I've noticed anyways. The Libra signs are really big in both of these cards. I feel like they're usually smaller and hidden throughout the artwork, whereas like these Libra cards are like the symbols are really in your face. All right, and then we're going to look at these extra energies over here. So we've got the Ace of Cups, and we've got the Princess of the Palace of Floods. We already, in the last video, touched on the Queen of Swords. So if you need a refresher on that, you can go back to that video. But we're going to look at these two right here. Okay, so Ace of Cups, Lord of the Root of the Powers of Water. The symbol at the upper right is Kether in water. And I might be pronouncing those wrong. I'm really sorry. I am not up to date with my pronunciation of anything in the Tree of Life. A radiant white angelic hand issues from clouds and supports on its palm a large cup from which rises fountains of clear and glistening waters. The spray falls on all sides into the clear, calm waters below, where the lotus and water lilies grow. Look how pretty that is. It's very calming. It's very beautiful. Nice card. Okay, and Princess of Cups. So remember in the Hermetic Tarot, the princesses are pages, right? In the RW. Okay, where is the princess? Knight, Queen, King, Princess. Here she is. Princess of the Palace of the Floods, the earthly part of water. A beautiful figure similar in attire to the Princess of Wands stands in a turbulent sea of foaming spray. Nearby are a large dolphin, 2 swans, and a tortoise. The regal dolphin represents the power of creation. The swans are the Oriental philosophy, suggesting the symbol of the entire creation process. In Hindu philosophy, the tortoise supports the elephant, on whose back sits the entire universe. Rules a quadrant of the heavens around the North Pole. It's kind of bad grammar. All right, let's look at this card. Very interesting. They always draw the dolphins like so medieval looking and weird, but I like it. But yeah, so there she is. Neat. I didn't know about like the Hindu beliefs and like the swans in Chinese philosophy. I didn't know about all of that different stuff. So that's really cool to learn about in this card. So those are our underlying influences of this Decan. This is what's coming forward for this Decan. I kind of, I'm still like on the fence about my feelings about this. I'm really not quite sure what's going to come forward. I'm a little apprehensive, but at the same time, I'm intrigued, right? So it'll be interesting to see what comes forward and what happens. All right, so this Decan lasts from September 23rd to October 2nd. So our next video will be October 3rd, and we'll be looking at the Three of Swords, unfortunately. But for right now, let's concentrate on this Decan. And like I said, September 23rd to October 2nd, we are in the world of the Two of Swords. So we'll see what comes forward with this, and we'll see what happens with this. Hopefully this is a really good Decan. Hopefully some cool things happen for you guys. And if anything, maybe a little bit of peace or a little bit of justice restored or alignment falling into place or something along those terms that are not too crazy, right? And as usual, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I think this is such a cool thing to do, and I really enjoy looking at these cards and discovering things about them that I've never noticed before, especially when you've been doing this a really long time. I mean, I was gifted my first deck when I was about 14, 15 years old. So for me to get in here and to start looking at these cards in these different lights, it's refreshing, right? Because you kind of get into your routine and your way of seeing things, and it's nice to be open-minded enough to see the different aspects of these cards. So really quite cool. But anyways, I'm wishing everyone a great Decan. I hope everybody has a wonderful spring equinox or autumn equinox, depending on where you are in the world. And get outside and enjoy that beautiful weather. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.